What's the matter?
That feels like it's straight out of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Tina?
What, you gone now? What, you gone now? What, you
God now, God now, God now, God now.
I got a laptop in my back pocket. My pinnacle walk when I hat cock it.
Now, last Halloween, I had a pretty ambitious project lined up where I picked out not a handful, but an assload of Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes that I wanted to talk about and highlight, various ones that had made some sort of impact on me in my youth. Needless to say, didn't have time to finish it, got about 4 of them written before I just fucking defaulted on it, for lack of a better term. But I don't want to waste all this effort, so today I'm going to run through 4 episodes out of Season 1 that I thought really kicked ass. And if it's well received, then maybe I'll get around to doing the rest of them in some time. But in the meantime, let's take a look back at 4 episodes that I still remember to this day.
Number 1. The Tale of the Phantom Cab.
Good God, if this were episode 1 of a TV show released today, there wouldn't be an episode 2. This shit would have been canceled.
Denny and Buzz were brothers. Denny was big, strong, and smart. Buzz was, well, kind of a geek.
This poor kid, my God, this non-emoting robot boy.
I'm not a loser.
Now, I've already picked on him once in my The Haunting review. He's just so bad.
Man, this is whacked.
The 2 brothers get lost in the woods because one of them is an idiot.
Watch the edge.
Whoa!
Their only hope is Flynn, this crazy-ass man they discover out there lost in the woods with them.
Hello. What have we here?
Who ends up leading them to a creepy cottage owned by Dr. Vink, played by Aaron Tager. Tagey? I don't know.
I don't suppose either of you are any good at riddles.
Now, the whole banking point of this episode comes down to riddles. Both Flynn and the doctor seem obsessed with them, and all Buzz and Danny want to do is leave. So the doctor offers them a deal.
I ask you a riddle, and if you solve it, you can call your parents.
Buzz should be able to handle that, right?
What is it that has no weight, can be seen by the naked eye, and if you put it in a barrel, it would make the barrel lighter?
I don't know.
And he failed. Fleeing in terror from the house, the episode wusses out, unfortunately, when a taxi appears, as Flynn predicted, picks the boys up, and we find Flynn is now the driver and just delivers a shitload of exposition out of nowhere.
I give a ride to folks who gave Dr. Vink a ride up here, so he took a specimen from me.
To be fair, Flynn is okay, but the 2 boys are just awful.
I got off easy.
Buzz solves the riddle at the last minute after a bout of terrible acting, which really didn't build much suspense, unfortunately.
I got it! I know the answer!
What is it?
It's weightless, you can see it, and if you put it in a barrel, it'll make the barrel lighter.
Say it!
It's a hole! It's a hole in the barrel!
Here we go!
It at least set the tone for us for what this show was possibly gonna bring. The unexpected. Now, not at all a good episode in my opinion, but luckily it didn't seem to sour the show's momentum since it went on to get another 6 seasons, and apparently a revival that's probably already happened by this point, but at the time I read that, I was just like, why? It's behind a paywall, and from the thumbnails, it kinda looks like it's gonna suck, but what the hell do I know?
The end.
Number 2.
I fucking love clowns. All clowns. Sad clowns, happy clowns, scary clowns.
The Tale of Laughing in the Dark.
Some people are terrified of clowns, and I don't understand it myself, but that's okay. A phobia is a phobia. Simple as that. Now, this episode concerns a clown named Zebo, who apparently stole the entire circus's payroll back in 1924 and then just vanished. Eventually caught, he was chased by the victims and ended up hiding inside the original spook house that stood where this one currently stands. And he would have escaped scot-free too if it weren't for his one bad habit.
Zebo smoked cigars. The police figure he threw one away in the spook house because the whole place caught fire.
Thus is the legend of Zebo the Clown, and why the current spook house frightens so many kids. Now, some of the fun of this episode, aside from a scary clown bit, is Josh is that douchey, annoying, not quite a bully, but goober of a kid, and his snarkiness just really works well because you want to see him get what he deserves, which you do. Now, he doesn't believe a lick of the Zebo nonsense, and after being called a chicken himself for not going into the spook house, he sets out to prove his friends wrong. Now, as proof that he went all the way in, he says he's going to bring back a little souvenir.
I'm going to steal his nose. And you're Gonna wear it to school for a week.
Another great aspect of this episode is the spook house owner. Guy has charisma, he has charm, he has that authentic announcer feel.
Sorry, my lad. I didn't mean to scare you.
Now, as you'd expect, Josh isn't as brave as he thought and gets spooked a bit along the way, but to his credit, he does man up and steal that clown's nose.
No!
Now, the next day, weird things begin happening. The acting is nothing special, it follows a lot of easy and familiar plot devices like the scary phone call, but hell, it worked really good back then in the early 90s, and it kinda scared us. Even though we never see Zeebo himself, it was scary enough to us kids just knowing he was there. Utterly terrified after Zeebo is standing right outside of his door, Josh races back to the spook house to return Zeebo's nose, and a little something extra as well.
Just to show there's no hard feelings? Cigars! All for you.
Check out this killer delivery by the owner too.
It's the most fun in the park when you're laughing in the dark.
There's nothing really special about this one, honestly, but you know you have never forgotten that clown if you saw this episode.
The end.
Number 3. The Tale of the Super Specs.
A loose homage to the 1988 film They Live, this story is about Weeds, a practical joker who buys a pair of X-ray specs that he himself managed to place a curse on. This episode's awesome too because it's the first time we ever laid eyes on Mr. Sardo.
It's Sardo. No Mr. Accent on the do.
Oh, how could I forget? Now after his friend Mary Beth wears them, she begins to see... the putties? Totally looks like putties. It's just a person in a black suit, but it scared the shit out of me as a kid. Especially this one.
What's the matter?
That feels like it's straight out of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Tina?
Weeds becomes obsessed with voodoo along the way, casting spells on everything he can get his hands on. I guess he needed something to do in the plot since he didn't see Jack all when he put the glasses on. Now Mary Beth, meanwhile, finds that she can't get rid of the glasses, stuck with them after she tries to get through to Weeds, and then to Sardo, who, after figuring out exactly which spell Josh cast, helps her perform a counter spell. And just when all seems lost, the putties are closing in on them. Sardo gets his ass in gear.
Take the children!
Okay, I honestly did not remember this, and that is fucking terrifying.
You have tampered with the cosmic seal. Two universes cannot exist on the same plane.
Throwing a little twist ending into the mix surprised a lot of us at that age, and it made for a great ending.
Are they gone for good? I don't think they'll be bothering you anymore.
Like the last episode, there's not really a lot in this one that's really special. Maybe Richard Dumont as Sardo. Maybe it just reminds us of how cool They Live was and nothing else.
Thank you, sir.
Number 4. The Tale of a Pinball Wizard.
Now, even though the pinball craze was coming to a close as home video games exploded, it was still a big thing even when I was a kid. Terminator 2 pinball was my favorite pinball machine, and one I slung many a quarter into in my days at the mall arcade. Now, watching this episode was the next best thing to actually playing it as far as I felt, because I didn't live near arcades as a kid, and that one arcade that we had in our local mall shut down when I was like 13 or 14. Ross is a pinball-obsessed kid who earns a chance at being hired at his favorite store when tasked with covering the owner's lunch hour. Curiosity gets the best of him, as it would most kids in this kind of situation, and he ends up poking his nose into all kinds of shit that he's not supposed to. Mainly a special machine the owner had been keeping secret, but it looks as if that's exactly what the owner had in mind. Now, some girl comes in looking for her music box. This scene does matter, even though it's kind of weak because he acts like a complete dumbass who has no idea how to talk to women.
I left my music box here. It's supposed to be ready today.
It is?
My music box?
He can't find her music box and tells her to come back in an hour when the owner is back from lunch. In the meantime, he becomes more and more obsessed with the game, pumping quarter after quarter into it. Time seems to slip by, and when he finally loses the winning streak, he finds it's now dark, The mall's closed, and he's trapped inside.
Mom's gonna kill me.
Now, weird things begin to happen immediately.
Excuse me, sir.
Even today, it's amazing how well this scene works with its low-budget campiness. You're like, what? The music is awesome. The mood is awesome. He's inside the game now, and she's the princess he couldn't save in the game, and I don't care if it makes sense. It looks cool as hell. I wanted to be locked inside the mall as if it were a giant pinball machine. I didn't want to have the gray man after me, okay? But damn, I wanted to be in this pinball machine so bad. Even though it's more like a video game than pinball, the rest of the episode plays out with Ross on the quest to rescue the princess.
Wait. This is a game?
It took him that long to figure that out. This episode is great, even with its bad acting, because of its scope. Compare this to the opening of the series. As the finale to season 1, it more than made up for the wishy-washy launch. Even better, it doesn't even end on a happy ending.
I won! I shouldn't be back here!
Ross finds that even after rescuing the princess, he's forever trapped inside the game, as that was the owner's plan to begin with. There are a lot of episodes in season 1 that I skipped over, obviously. I just went through the ones that I remembered the most as a kid. I have watched all the way through it, and while I remember all of these episodes, these are the ones that maybe I saw on repeat a little more often, or on Snick, or on URequest, and all that shit used to, be a big deal to us when we were kids. So, I want to review more of these episodes. I just didn't want to waste the effort that I already put into these right here. So if you like hearing me talk about this, and want to hear me talk about other old Nickelodeon shows and all the cool shit that we grew up with, then hit that thumbs up button, leave your comments down below, let me know what you're thinking, and we'll see you again next time.